Hey everybody, welcome back to the third episode of my tour of the Biopark Zoo. Today we'll be looking at one of the three most endangered creatures right here. The Giant Panda, the Okapi, and the Pygmy Hippo. The first one of the three we're going to see is the Giant Panda. We can see here, we can see the panda lying on the right here. So these bears are universally admired for their appealing markings and seemingly gentle demeanor. These guys are members of the bear family, and they're robust animals with heavy shoulders and distinctive black and white coats. They have relatively large heads and large muscular jaws, while their molars and premolar teeth are wider and flatter than those of bears, allowing them to grind bamboo. They're very unusual in having a thumb, which in fact is actually a modified wrist bone that enables them to desperately grasp bamboo stalks. Oh yeah. And these guys have very good sense of smell and have large jaws with strong muscles, and together their flat molars are able to crush bamboo leaves and stems. And like I said, their extension or wrist bone, which serves like a thumb, enables them to grip bamboo stems. Which probably you would ask yourself, but Quentin, these guys are members of the bear family. They would eat meat, but why would they switch from being meat eaters to the peaceful, gentle vegans? Well, it all started 3 million years ago when they swapped their diet from meat to veggies like bamboo. And these guys were designed to have stomachs that could digest meat very well, but not plants. Oh yeah, there's another panda right over there. You can just see him. Let's see over here. We have the other panda over here. On. These guys live in several mountain ranges in China, in the central provinces of Sichuan, Shaanxi, and Gansu. They are carnivorous and broadleaf forests at elevations of 5,000 and 10,000 feet, where there is a thick understory of bamboo, which they like to eat. Let's go feed them, by the way. So pandas, as you may already know, are technically completely herbivores, which means that they eat lots of bamboo. Which in the wild, they eat 99% of our diet in the wild is bamboo. They can eat as much as 18 kilograms of bamboo every day. But they may also eat other grasses and prey on small rodents and musk deer fawns, as well as fish and fruit as well. But they do it on occasion, you know. Let's see their animation and tell some fun facts about the giant panda. Now, giant pandas can see clearly at night, having the same sorts of pupils as cats do. Isn't that cute? They move extremely slowly and can't do anything that takes much energy because bamboo doesn't give them much energy, unlike meat does. And the first panda cub that had arrived in the US in 1956 for a zoo in Chicago. Now for another 50 years did a second one arrive in the country. Pandas don't rely on visual memory, but their spatial memory instead. Chi-Chi, a giant panda that came in 1961 to the London Zoo in 1961 at the same time the World Wildlife Fund was being formed, was the inspiration for the World Wildlife Fund logo. And they're one of the few animals whose body parts had escaped being used by the Chinese in traditional medicine. And they have long symbolized peace in China. 100 years ago, Chinese would raise a truce flag with a panda depicted on it. And they've been on Earth for around 2 to 3 million years. And their name may come from the Nepalese word punya, meaning planting animal or bamboo eating animal. Well, because, well, you guessed it, 99% of our diet is, well, bamboo, duh. And under their black fur, their skin is black and pink where it's right. And these guys give birth tiny babies, which are only about half the size of a stick of butter. Well, that's tiny. Well, that's enough for the pandas. Let's move on to the okapis. Well, another day at the zoo. Yeah. Alright, let's start looking at the other animals, shall we? The next animal we have on the list is the Okapi, also known as the forest giraffe. Now, perhaps one of the most extraordinary facts about these creatures is that they weren't known to science until the year 1901. Their taxonomic name, Okapia johnstoni, honors both their native Central African name and that the man first discovered it, Sir Harry Johnson, the British explorer, naturalist, and colonial administrator. The native pygmies of Central Africa had known their existence for generations, thinking it was some type of horse. Oh, there's two of them right over there. Let's take a picture of one of them. Which was how they described it to Sir Henry Morton Stanley. In fact, they're actually a forest-living relative of the giraffe. Although closely resembling a horse, they have relatively long necks, although not as long as their giraffe cousins. And their foreheads, necks, and bodies are brown, light tan or gray on the animal's cheeks. And they have these white stripes over there, just like a zebra. Around and see the other Okapi, which is right over here. See? See right here? Alright. And these guys live throughout the central, eastern, and northern regions of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, as well as east and north of the Congo River. They range from the Maiko Forest north to the Ituri Forest, and for the river basin areas of the Ruby, Ebola, and Lake Teli to the west and further north of the Ugambi River. Small populations occur south and west of the Congo River. In the Upulu and Wamba areas, they're also common. They're extinct in Uganda, and they live in forests both rain and dry, and for subtropical and tropical latitudes. There it is. I think it's time to feed them. Now, these guys are herbivores, which means these guys eat plants. And they're mainly herbivores, and they eat the leaves, shoots, and buds of over 100 species of forest vegetation. They will eat grasses, ferns, fruit, and fungi. Let's see their animation and tell some fun facts about the Okapi. The Okapi is an animal known to ancient Egyptians. Soon after being discovered by Europeans, an ancient carved Okapi image was found in Egypt. Europeans in Africa had for years heard about an animal that they called the African unicorn. Their tongues measure 18 inches long and are able to reach their eyes and ears, with it being one of the few animals that are able to lick their own ears. Being very elusive and shy beings, they were not discovered until 1901. They're pacers, like giraffes, they're pacers, simultaneously stepping with the front and back legs on the same side instead of moving alternate legs like our ungulates, just like showcasing here. The newborns don't defecate before 48 weeks old, and this helps keep them undetected by their predator's sharp sense of smell, while still small and weak. Isn't that cute? But enough about the Okapi. Let's get to the next animal, shall we? Our next animal on the list is the pygmy hippopotamus. Let's see where the pygmy hippo is. Hey, look! It's right over here. See? He's just relaxing in the lake right about now. So these guys share the barrel-shaped body form of the closely related common hippopotamus. But they're considerably much smaller than their relatives, and they kind of look like baby hippos, you know. Oh yeah, and the word hippopotamus means river horse in Greek. But their actual relatives are whales and dolphins, the sirens, not horses. and they're rarely found. Easily recognizable as huge mammals are always a relatively small overall population, and they're closely related to the hippopotamus inhabiting West Africa. But like them, they're semi-aquatic creatures, although they spend a considerable part of their time on the ground. A constant source of water is a vital life condition for them, since it prevents their skin from drying and helps them hold their body temperature. And their natural range covers West Africa, including countries like Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, and the Ivory Coast. Within their territory, they inhabit mixed parts of tropical lowland forests with dense cover, and they live and construct burrows along swamps and rivers, constantly remaining in close proximity to water. And it's time to feed them, by the way. It's feeding time. Let's see. Now these guys maintain strictly herbivorous or plant-based diets. Those are herbs, broadleaf plants, grasses, semi-aquatic plants, herbaceous shoots, forbs, sedges, ferns, as well as the occasional fallen fruit. Alright. Oh, look at the hippo right there. Look at the Bimmy hippo. It's relaxing right here. Let's go see the animation and tell some fun facts. Baby hippos exhibit excellent swimming abilities. When they dive, their muscular valves in their ears and nostrils close off. They possess a 4-chamber stomach like cows. However, they're not true ruminants and hence ferment food and use microbes in a different way than true ruminants. Additionally, they never chew their cud. Each individual of the species consumes as much as 150 pounds of grass per night. That's a lot of grass. That's what you ask me. Oh, there he is again in the water. Let's go check him out. There he is. So, by the way, they're noticeably smaller than their common hippo cousins. Hence, when specimens of the species was found, some scientists consider it in a stunted or juvenile common hippo. However, in 1911, Scomberg brought 5 specimens to Europe. Many hippos were recognized as separate species. And an adult individual can dive for as long as 5 to 6 minutes, and their feet are slightly fused, allowing them to walk along bottoms of rivers as well as ascend slippery riverbanks, which is why they don't normally swim. Alright. It's time to move out. It's time to move out with the Bimmy hippos and on with the llama drama. Because this time we'll be checking out the llamas. Oh, and there's a llama right next to us right now. These guys are South American relatives of the camel, though they don't have humps like camels do. And these sturdy animals are domestic creatures used by the peoples in the Andes Mountains, with their wild relatives being the guanacos and vicuñas, which are also native there. Native people have used them as pack animals for many centuries. Typically, they're saddled with loads of 50 to 75 pounds. Under such weight, they can cover up to 20 miles in a single day. Pack trains of them, which include several hundred animals, move large amounts of goods over even the very rough terrain of the Andes. They're willing pack animals, but only to a point. An overloaded camel will simply refuse to move, and they often lie down on the ground, and they may spit, hiss, or even kick at their owners until their burn is lessened. They graze on grass and, like cows, regurgitate their food and chew it as cud. They stomp out such water sometimes before swallowing them for complete digestion, and they can survive by eating many different kinds of plants, and they need little water. Oh, and there's another llama right over there. Let's go check him out. And these attributes make them durable and dependable even in sparse mountainous terrain. They contribute much more than transportation to human communities in which they live in. And originally, they're native to the Andes Mountains of South America, but now they're extinct in the wild and exist today only as domesticated animals. They were introduced as pets and farm animals to North America, Europe, and Australia, and their natural habitat is the Andes highlands, particularly the Altiplano of western Bolivia and southeast Peru, plateaus which are covered with low vegetation, including various stunted trees, shrubs, and grasses. In the region of the Altiplano, the northern parts are mountainous and reasonably temperate, while the south is inhospitable, being dry and desert-like. They can live at elevations and sea levels over 4,000 meters. Let's go feed the llamas right away. So these guys are strictly herbivorous animals, which in fact, they can eat grass and browse for mountain vegetation, native grasses and lower shrubs. They can obtain water from this food, but they also require fresh water. Let's see the animation and tell some fun facts about the llama. Llamas are very popular in the US for pets and companions. They have a gentle temperament and inquisitive character, which makes them perfect as companions or therapy animals. They're used in hospices, nursing homes, and hospitals to give residents some interaction and provide a sensory experience. As a visit from a llama is an emotionally positive exercise for patients and residents. Such therapy can help with healing or simply provide some entertainment and enjoyment. They're known for their gentleness of their character and the ease in which they are trained. Often they can learn new tasks after just a few repetitions. One stretching out very tall with their heads held high, flicking their tails rapidly, usually means displeasure. Pregnant females commonly use this behavior to turn an approaching male. Also prevalent in California show that llamas, as well as the camel, came originally from North America. They're thought that the animals that went north and crossed over the Bering Land Bridge later evolved into camels, while the migrator itself evolved into the llama family. They can make a range of sounds, the most common one being a humming noise. The females hum to their crias, or just their, what you call baby llamas, and the males orgle during breeding, which sounds like a gurgle. If the two males decide to fight, they'll begin screaming at each other. They do spit, usually to settle an argument about food or to decide which llama is dominant. A female will spit at a male to make him go away, but they don't usually spit at humans unless they're provoked. So anyways, let's move on to the llamas and head for the ponies. My little pony, my little pony. Sorry about that. I just had to sing the song, did I? So technically, ponies are the smaller version of a horse. That's by the way. As they're very small horses, and they have much thicker manes and tails than them. And they also have proportionally shorter legs, thicker necks, and shorter heads. And well-trained ponies are good for children when they're learning to ride. As well as for riding, they're used in driving and working roles. The young are called foals, and pound to pound, they're very much stronger than horses. And miniature horses are even smaller than ponies. And they're easy to look after, requiring half the food of the horse would if it was the same weight. And ponies like Shetland ponies are small but very strong, and Hackney ponies were first bred to pull carriages. Can you believe that? Let's go feed the ponies. So obviously, ponies are herbivores, just like their cousins. But but like I said, they only need half of what a normal horse would need if it were that size. Let's see the animation. Alright, that's enough of the ponies. Now let's move on to the other animals. The next animal we have is the red kangaroo, Macropus rufus. Which we have two of these kangaroos right over here. So an iconic symbol of the Australian outback, they're one of the largest living marsupials alive today. and one of the most abundant and striking of all the kangaroos. Standing up to an impressive 2 meters tall, the males are much larger and more powerful muscled than the females, larger shoulders and forearms. Even though they're called red kangaroos, the fur is actually reddish-orange, with the females being bluish-gray, by the way. Move on to the red kangaroos here. Oh yeah, and they inhabit the arid regions of Australia's mainland, except the extreme north and extreme southwest of the country, and the east coast. It can be found in shrubland, woodland, grassland, and desert, preferring open grassy plains and the shelter of shade of scattered trees. Anyways, let's go feed them. So red kangaroos eat only plants, preferring green herbage like dicotyledonous flowering plants and grasses. They can go for long periods without water by eating succulent plants that are filled with moisture. Let's see their animation. Male kangaroos are called boomers, the females are called flyers, and the young are called joeys. Red kangaroos are named after their color of their fur. The red, in fact, a musky red oil, that is excreted from the glands in their skin. When they're born, a joey is about the size of a jelly bean. They can jump as high as 6 feet and leap a distance of 29 feet. On the land, they always move their back legs together, but in the water, they'll kick each leg independently when swimming. They're the only big animals to hop as their main method of locomotion. It's an energy-efficient and fast means of travel, and allows them to go long distances in areas where there is little water and food available. The joeys will sometimes jump head first in their mother's pouch if they're frightened. They outnumber people in Australia, and they're the country's national symbol appear on coins, postal stamps, and airplanes. Up with the kangaroos. Let's head to the red kangaroo. And there's another kangaroo I'd like you to meet. The eastern gray kangaroo. Let's see where the... Well, there he is, right here. The iconic eastern gray kangaroo is a marsupial with thick, soft gray-brown fur, which is how it got its name, which is paler in the underparts. And they're distinguished from their cousins, the western gray kangaroo, by their gray coloration on them brown. This is how they get their name. They're widely distributed across eastern mainland Australia, from northeast Queensland to South Australia, in the southeast and southern Victoria, including eastern Tasmania, and has been introduced to Free Hummock Island and Maria Island. They inhabit areas which have a higher rainfall, including woodland, mallee scrub, dry sclerophyll forest, shrubland, and heathland. It eats trees or scrub for cover along open areas for feeding, and the Kangaroo also introduced grassland, agricultural land, and other modified landscapes, like cities. Let's go feed them. Now these guys are Oh, hold on. That's much better. Now these guys graze on grasses, leaves, furs, and other low shrub-like vegetation. But at the zoo, they kind of feed them nuts. And grain, stuff like that. Let's see an animation. Kangaroos are marsupials, belong to an animal family of Macropodidae, which have the literal meaning of great-footed or big-footed, due to their big feet. They're the world's largest living marsupial. Largest living marsupials out there today. Eastern gray kangaroos may be hopping, usually going about 9 meters every hop. Their legs are designed in such a way that they use less energy the quicker they move. The males are called boomers, the females flyers, and babies are called joeys. A common myth regarding their name in English is that kangaroo means I don't understand you, and gugu, if you're the language of Aboriginal people who live in the area. Enough about the kangaroos. Let's go get to the next animal. Oh yeah! An eastern gray kangaroo is right next to the, to the red kangaroo, so we didn't need to click on that. The next animal is the moose. The big moose. Here we have the moose. The largest deer in the deer family, one of the northern hemisphere's largest land mammals. And these guys have long legs, with the front ones being longer than the back ones. Their snouts are long and could be bottlenose and shoulder humps. As you can see, under their chin is a flap of skin which kind of looks like a bird's wattle, which we call these things bells. And these guys can move very fast, even in the wet and mud. Their two large toes spread widely apart to stop them from sinking. Let's take a picture of two of the moose. It'll last longer, by the way. Oh yeah. And the males are much larger than the females. However, deer bear bony horn-like antlers, are shed each winter and grow for the summer. And they're massive in impalement, measuring up to 2 meters crossover and 30 kilograms in weight, making them the largest of any deer. Well, not like the Irish elk, which has the biggest antlers of any deer living and extinct. But enough about that. Let me tell you where moose live. So moose inhabit northern North America, and they're found throughout Canada, Alaska, the northeastern US, and right down Colorado and the Rocky Mountains. They're also found in large numbers in northern European countries and throughout Russia. They prefer wet conditions where there are ponds, lakes, and swamps. Let's go feed them. So moose are herbivorous mammals, and they eat birch and aspen twigs, sedges, horsetail roots, grasses, and pondweeds. They eat leaves, buds, twigs, and bark from some woody plants, also lichens, aquatic plants, and several of the taller herbaceous plants that grow on land. They're able to forage for aquatic plants both under and on the water. Let's see their animation. Oh. A full-grown male is taller than a horse and can weigh about 1,300 kilograms. And they're very excellent swimmers. The big males a mature male is called a bull, with the females being called cows and babies called calves. And like I said, the skin that dangles from the chin, which is right over here, that's called a bell. Let's move on. Let's get out of the moose habitat and move on to the next animal on the list, the Galapagos Tortoise. Alright, let's see where it is. Oh hey, look! It's right over here. He's just relaxing right next to the door, but don't worry, he won't escape. The enormous Galapagos tortoise, Psilonoides negra, was once so numerous that Spanish explorers of the region named the Galapagos archipelago after their extraordinary inhabitant, which in fact the word Galapagos means tortoise in Spanish. This giant reptile is the largest living tortoise with relatively heavy limbs, and they can reach lengths of up to 150 centimeters. And the different subspecies illustrate the principle of adaptive radiation, where populations of isolated islands or on parts of larger islands within the Galapagos chain have adapted to different conditions and with distinct appearances, and they be generally separated into those with dome shells that occur in the larger, wetter islands and smaller ones with saddleback nests that are found on smaller islands with dry vegetation. And it's thought that those distinctive saddleback shells, some populations, enable their bearer to reach taller vegetation, with these tortoises also having longer limbs and longer necks. Alright, and they inhabit just 6 Galapagos Islands of an island chain 1,000 kilometers from the Ecuadorian coast, in the Isabela, Pinzon, Espanola, San Cristobal, Santa Cruz, and Santiago, in muddy puddles and wild, perfectly in sunny areas. Some may be found at rest in large overhanging rocks, when it's hot and dry season, and to go to the cooler highlands in the rainy season, or into the lowlands. Let's go feed them. So these guys are herbivores, eating a range of grasses, leaves, cacti, vines, and fruit. But at the zoo, we feed them nice, crispy lettuce. Let's see their animation and tell fun facts. Las Islas de los Galapagos, meaning the island of tortoises, were named after giant tortoises found nowhere else on the planet. They have poor sense of smell and use their eyes to seek food. Red objects really gain their attention. They have very slow metabolisms, so it can go for a long time for water or food. The longest such time recorded and confirmed was about 18 months, and will drink a lot of water and available to store for later. On some of the Galapagos Islands, finches will clean parasites from their skin while the animal raises itself up on their legs to help the process. And jokes about them being very slow is based on truth. They travel an incredible 0.16 miles per hour. People walk an average of 2.8 miles per hour.